Esoterica, the podcast.
Welcome to Esoterica the Podcast, where we discuss the obscure, offbeat, and unusual. I'm Chris Schultz.
And I'm Aaron Christian.
Today's episode is brought to us by Slusho brand Happy Drinks. Slusho contains a special ingredient that customers can't get enough of. Slusho, you can't just drink 6. How's it going, Aaron?
It's going well. Shout out to our friend Justin in Weymouth and his Slusho drinks.
Wait, what?
You got the big gulp.
Oh, I forgot about that. It's been so long.
Oh, man, it's been so long since I've seen people.
I've been camping since
October.
Wow.
Octubre, as they say in Spanish.
Espanol, senor. So what are we listening to today?
An album by a band.
That's kind of our shtick, right?
It tends to be our shtick. This is what I call filling in space while I pull up a Wikipedia page to give a synopsis.
Let me take a guess. It's going to be laid back and heavy.
Yeah, it is in that vein, that's for sure. So we're listening to the album Mister Asylum. It's a 2015 release from the rock band from Cape Cod named Highly Suspect. So it's the twin brothers, Rich and Ryan Meyer. That's the bass player and the drummer, and Johnny Stevens, who is the guitar player and the lead vocalist, and also Matt Kofos, who is the guitar player, synthesizers, and backing vocalist. So, here's the thing I need to mention, too. So this is more esoteric than Royal Blood was, so we are definitely in a less popular, less mainstream thing here. I will say, though, that Lydia, which is a song on this album, was nominated for Best Rock Song, did not win. But this is their first record. This is their debut, and it's easily one of my favorites of all time. I remember I first heard one of these songs, like I was playing a show and somebody did a cover. I'm like, that's pretty cool. So I listened to the whole album, and here we are. So that's that. Anything else you'd like to add before we maybe dive into this?
No, I've got the lyrics pulled up. Full disclosure, I'm on Genius, so be prepared for that.
I'm going to go on there and add parental controls to genius.com, and you'll be totally not allowed to use it from now on.
Every now and then there's good information.
Yeah, every now and then, yes. So I want to also note that this made it on the Billboard 200 to 56 and to the top hard rock albums of number 2. So again, it had some success, but I think it falls into the vein of laid back and heavy enough that we should talk about it. So that's what we're going to do.
All righty.
All right. So with that being said, let's listen to the first track, Mister Asylum.
So I definitely get the common thread that you've been going for with these last few albums.
Yeah, I think this is definitely more there than that, and this is probably the poppiest track on this whole record. Mm-hmm. Like everything else has kind of like Dead Poets Society, this like bluesy element, this mainstream element buried in there. That just I don't know. There's a lot of cool things about this record that we will see more and more as we go through it. But
good opening track.
Yeah, it's a good high tempo, high excitement track to start the album off with.
I noted that in an interview, Johnny, what's his last name?
No idea.
Johnny Stevens.
That's what I thought it was, but I thought it was going to be wrong. So
he said he wrote this album because he was going through some really bad anxiety and sort of wrote this. And what I find interesting is he says he still likes to listen to it, and it helps relax him if he's feeling anxious, which that's what you want your music to do.
Exactly.
And
Well, like when we talked to Jack Underkoffler, and he's talking about what's on In Too Deep, the song that they just put out, and I'm like, dude, I totally get what you're going for. Like, I understand what you're going through. And he's like, that's exactly what you want for people. You hope that, and he's like, I wrote this song for musicians because they will understand what this is like and what this life is like, and you know, and I think in a similar way, you know, this could be the same type of thing. It's just like you wrote that for people that are going through the same thing, and you hope that they feel the same that you do, so that it's some sort of therapy.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes the comfort is just knowing that other people feel the same way that you do.
You don't want to be alone in the world.
Exactly. So, Mister Asylum.
Mister Asylum.
So I think the next 3 tracks, like consecutively, are probably some of my favorites on the album. So this next one is called Lost.
Feels like you just keep on pulling me down. Sometimes I fall without making a sound. Will it ever be the same again? It took me too long to take the blame.
I'm so disappointed because I was hoping that song was going to be about the show Lost.
I thought you were going to say that.
So interesting. That was actually written by the bassist.
Yeah, and you can tell. Like, I think in a lot of ways. Because that song's got a groove, you know?
Yeah, that kicked. I liked it.
Yeah. I like the end because they're just jamming at the end, you know? Yeah, and the message is a thing. Yeah, because we're reading off Genius, right? So
Yeah.
it says that here, Rich said in an interview, the bassist, that Lost is a song that he wrote about a breakup that he was going through. It's kind of just trying to make something work when you know it isn't going to work, and all the feelings that go along with that. You know, it's like being torn between 2 different things. And he says that he knows he's putting it simply, but that's kind of what the song's about, my breakup, that might have dragged out longer than it should have been. Which I kind of get. I can relate.
Yeah.
You know, when you're dragging things out longer than you should have been, because you know it's not good, but you're also, I guess, trying to be the superhero, you could even say, for that person. Which might not be specifically here, but I know that's some of the theme we've talked about in the show a lot.
Yes, I had some thoughts about, you know, what I've gone through in the past, and I was like, I'm just not gonna bother to go into that again because I don't want to beat a dead horse. But
there's some show where somebody's legit beating a dead horse.
Oh my god, I just saw that recently too. It was South Park.
It had to have been.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we were watching it together.
I think he's beating that dead horse. Why won't he stop beating that horse, which is dead?
That's it. Well, this next track is the one that was nominated for Best Rock Song. It's something I didn't specify when I looked at it. It was nominated for Best Rock Song. This was the song that when I heard a cover of that I was like, oh, I got to listen to this. And the music video is pretty interesting. So we're gonna listen to Lydia.
I can't fucking breathe, much less believe the truth. I pick up a bed, aim for the sun, and shoot. There are days sad and frightened in my youth. I can't breathe or believe the truth.
So it's kind of cool. It's reading the one of the things that I like on Genius sometimes is you get what the artist said about the song.
Yes.
And the idea that this was a relationship where both people were not realizing their potential or doing what they want to do together. Like, not necessarily toxic for each other, but definitely not healthy.
Yeah.
And coming to that realization and parting on good terms.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I kind of wish more people could do that. There'd probably be a lot less relationships, but
Yeah. And isn't that like the beauty of this song too, is it's like it's not polarizing in a way. Like it's not a breakup song or a love song, or like it's kind of just like a, you know, there's no animosity here, there's no like extreme obsession.
yeah.
You know, it's just kind of like this is a song about people that just like kind of fell out of love and they were okay with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Some regret that it can't work, but you know,
Yeah.
like that, very self-aware, which I
Right.
think is cool. I'd have to mention, because a lot of times I get annoyed at the annotations on Genius. This one contributor, and I don't see who the username is. This is perhaps the best annotation I've ever seen. It's talking about the line, I pick up a gun, aim for the sun, and shoot. And in the midst of the explanation and the annotation, they write, if you've somehow never seen the sun before, here's a picture. And there's legit a picture of the sun.
Yeah, followed by an explanation about why shooting at the sun is a bad idea.
With a link to a wiki article about celebratory gunfire and falling bullets.
Yes.
Deaths related
So,
to such.
It's I'm stalked.
I'm stalked as the user?
Yeah, click on one contributor and then the next one
Oh,
comes
okay,
up.
it tells you.
So, great job, I'm stalked.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Which
Best,
I really hope is I'm stoked misspelled.
Well, if you're stalked, that's a good thing, because then you're not going to run out.
I don't think they're stocked up on bullets, though. So that was Lydia. That was nominated for Best Rock Song. It's a fun song. I enjoy it.
Yeah, that's good. So far, I'm digging this album.
Oh, that means nothing to me, but thank you.
Well, that's good.
All right. Our next track is called Bath Salts. What?
Do you remember when that was a thing?
When bath salts were a thing?
Yeah, they weren't actually bath salts that was causing people to take their clothes off and eat people's faces, but it was blamed on bath salts.
Oh.
Do you remember that?
No. Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
The closest, that's the one time that I almost grabbed my go bag and went, because I thought the zombie apocalypse was going on.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It was
We
just
could
bath
we could
salts.
talk all day about crocodile, the drug that oh gosh. Let's listen to bath salts.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm feeling okay. It's good. 'Cause lately I've been feeling so strange. Like I've been rearranged.
So it was about bath salts.
Yeah, or it was about a narcotic cocktail
Yeah.
specifically.
I want to say, and I could have looked this up while we were listening, but I didn't
Could
bother,
have.
that during the bath salts craze, the reason they were being called bath salts is I think the drug was marketed as bath salts in order to avoid, being illegal.
As illegal drugs tend to do.
Yeah, and in fact, I don't know if it's the same substance, but there was a number of things that were you could buy them at gas stations or stuff, and it was marketed as incense, and you were told not to inhale it, but you totally inhaled it and got fucked up.
You were told not to inhale it, but you totally okay.
Yeah, because they can get around the laws if they're telling you're not using the product correctly if you're inhaling it and getting high. So it's not their fault.
Wow.
But people be getting messed up. I'm glad that Johnny didn't eat anybody's face off.
Yeah. That outro section though. That's deep words.
Yeah. And if he's drawing on his own experience.
Yeah. Nothing flashed before my eyes, no pretty angels, no bright lights. All I saw was the devil's soul, and it looked a hell of a lot like my own.
I recall, I've never done any hard drugs, and I've never had any interest in that. But I do remember back when I was smoking a lot of pot, it was coming from New Hampshire. And I think a couple of times it probably had stuff in it other than pot. And I remember one time I was closing my eyes and I started spiraling down further and further, and I could feel my heart beat getting slower. And I went down a tunnel of light, and I saw Jesus, and Jesus looked at me, and he just and shook his head, and then I woke up and came back up. I think I put myself into a trance, basically, but I swore for the longest time that I died and down the tunnel and popped back.
Wow.
Yeah.
We should probably listen to the next song then.
23?
23. You know what's funny is these next few tracks, maybe not Mom, but 23, Blood Feather, Fuck Me Up, Vanity. I don't remember what they sound like. So it's almost going to be like a first listen until I remember them. But this happens sometimes with these albums. I know a few good songs off of them that relate to this, and then I just completely forget. Then I'm like, where have I been? So this is going to be one of them. And we're going to listen to 23 featuring Sasha Dobson.
And now, time to pay our bills. Hey, Aaron, have you heard about Anchor?
No, I haven't.
It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain.
Is it free?
As a matter of fact, it is free. It costs you no money. It comes with creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast. Get this, right from your phone or computer.
You know, I've been looking for a place that I could distribute my podcast so it could be heard on like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Is that something that Anchor does?
Well, baby, you found it. Anchor does do that. Even better, you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership.
You know, to me, it sounds like it's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
It is indeed. If you're listening and you've ever wanted to make a podcast, you should download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm and get started.
I'll get right on that.
We did. esotericathepodcast.com. I totally get why this is one of their favorite songs to play.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've never played this song, but I can decipher the fun level, the funness.
Aaron, decipherer of fun.
I have business cards if you want them.
Right. Yeah, and another song about Lydia, the tattooed lady.
Yeah. Lydia. Yeah, this is a good one. And I love how they titled it 23 because it was Song Memo 23, which is funny. Didn't Sidney Gish have New Recording 180?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Which is an iPhone thing.
It is. It is. Yeah, it's very funny. I guess funny, ironic funny, that we're in this age now where, like, that's going to become a thing. People are just, like, naming songs after whatever their phone just decides to name that track, you know?
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
Well, you know, if you go back a little, R2D2 got his name because that somebody referred to Real 2 Dialogue 2 as R2D2, and Lucas was like, hey, I like that. So
I like how if you ever see it, like, if you ever see it in, like, closed captioning in some places, it's not always the letter R, the number 2, the letter D, the number 2.
Yeah.
It's like ARTOO.
R2. Yeah. C3PO is often spelled out as opposed to
or when they're it's usually when they're using the nickname like R2 or 3PO when it's just very clearly the number, you know.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely that's funny because I noticed that with R2, but it never really occurred to me that with 3PO
yeah, 3PO or R4 from the prequels.
Yeah.
They do that too.
Let's
go and get them R4.
If you're from Boston, it's R4.
R4. Park the car in R4.
Get some R4 up in
We
here.
can say this because this is a Massachusetts band. They're from the Cape.
Right.
Anyways, this next track I really like, and I think you'll really enjoy the vibe of this one because it's definitely it's from this album, like you can tell, but it's a little different. And it's called Mom.
Hey, mama, it's me, your oldest son. Not the one who still believes that one day you won't be on the run. I won't take too much time from you. I just wanted to tell you I'm alive and doing fine. So how are you?
A song for the fans.
Yeah, about broken homes, broken families, I should say.
Hey, Mama. It's me. Your oldest son.
And that's the one thing I really, really enjoy about the song. Not the one thing. I enjoy a lot of things. But one major thing I enjoy about the song is how much of just like a jam it is. Like it's just I can picture that being a bunch of guys in a garage just like doing that, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what's really cool about the song.
Yeah, and I don't know how I could say this without sounding like it's a diss. These guys seem to have like a less polished sound. It's sounds like almost a more live.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I'm digging.
Yeah, definitely a more of a garage kind of. Garage is the only way I can put it, because like I feel like this is the noises you hear coming out of a garage band.
Imagine if you were only able to like one thing about something at the expense of others. Like that would suck.
Yeah, you're only allowed to enjoy one thing at the expense of everything else, huh?
If you enjoy two, like you're not allowed to enjoy it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would work.
The one thing I like about Star Wars is
Star Wars.
the stars. I like the stars.
I like the wars, personally.
The Clone Wars.
All the wars.
See, we don't need to make this a Star Wars episode, but I do have a question. There's no war in the first movie that came out 1977 in the original Star Wars.
Well, there's an act of rebellion.
Isn't it just be a battle? There's no just.
But the rebellion's organized. I mean, that's an insurrection more than a war. But
Yeah, I don't know. I just wouldn't argue that it's a valid war.
Star Insurrection doesn't have the same ring to it.
Star Riot.
They were saving money on the number of letters. Like Star Wars is nice and concise. Plus, when you call it wars, that encompasses a larger.
Yeah, wars. There's multiple. There's only one war, if there's anything, unless you start to go back to the prequels. But they weren't planning on even making a second movie at the time. So, well, I mean, he was, but all right, we don't need to make this a Star Wars episode.
Journal of the Wills.
Yeah. Anyway, this next song is called "Fuck Me Up."
Really?
It is.
I thought not Blood Feathers.
Did I?
Blood
Oh, it is. But you know what it is when I'm playing the tracks, Blood Feather is highlighted. And I assumed we had already listened to that by mistake. So this track is Blood Feather.
Blood Feather.
Georgia rain just kissed my lips. I live for moments like this. Steady rain, girl, I know you won't miss.
I need to laugh at that.
Oh, did I mark that on the wrong one?
That's even funnier.
Oh, it is. Oh, I wonder if I can take that back. All right, so there's a lot to unpack here,
Yeah.
and it doesn't necessarily have to do with.
This has nothing to do with the song or the quality of the song. This is a great song.
Yeah.
But please explain why we are ruffling right now.
Yeah. So I think everybody that listens to this show at this point knows that I rage read the annotations on Genius.
Genius.com.
So there's a line in the song. You fit me like a glove when I'm inside of you. And some frickin' genius actually wrote, these two people fit together exceptionally well, especially during sex.
You didn't have to post that, yet
But
you did.
Yet you did. Oh, my Lord.
You know, I think the one thing that I think makes that annotation even more confusing is that especially during sex. So in what other context is that supposed to mean? Like, 'cause I feel like that's fairly literal.
Unless this song...
Or it's the complete opposite is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, the only other interpretation it could possibly have is Luke singing this song to his tauntaun.
Can we stop with the Star Wars stuff this episode?
Right? You fit me like a glove when I'm inside of you. Stay
I
warm.
thought they smelled bad on the outside.
Right?
If anybody's listening to this and like is a Trekkie or something and hates Star Wars, we do not apologize.
Right.
Yeah, no, this is something else.
But the song is good. Kicked ass.
I'm glad that Funky Bunkle marked that as missing something.
Really?
Yeah.
The point?
Yeah. Restates the line, it's a stretch. That's what she said. And missing something. Wow. We just made it on the late night.
Can I I can't comment on Funky Bungle because it'd be like he's missing the point. When
Yeah.
the coochie's so tight that it fits like putting your hand in a tight glove.
What? That doesn't say that in here, does it?
It does under if you look at the comments on
Show more. Oh,
I don't
God.
know why
Okay.
you'd want to
So,
see more.
okay, you, seriously. Thank you. For a minute ago.
I can't upvote my own comment.
I can. No, I'm not logged in. All right, we got a little off track there with this ridiculousness, but we probably should at least mention that it's a love song. Obviously, it talks about love that is dangerous and harmful to the narrator. He doesn't care. He wants to love this woman anyways, and he would die for her. I think that particular line that has a shitty annotation is probably quite literal for that particular reason, because, you know, we're talking about a type of love that is, you know, maybe toxic, maybe dangerous. But, you know, from what I understand, they're the best lay.
Usually is. Yeah, it's definitely crazy. What I originally wanted to comment on before we went off the rails, and this is also courtesy of Funky Bungle. One of the things that's been a real treat since we started this podcast is we get a lot of emails from publicists about bands.
Yeah.
One of the reasons we started the Freeform Friday, and we need, hopefully at some point we'll get back on track with that, but, you know.
Yeah,
we do
maybe
have,
do another one.
yeah. You know, in our defense, we don't do this professionally, so there are other things that we have to take care of in our lives, which doesn't leave us a lot of time. But at any rate, I've noticed that, you know, publicists, it's their job, but when they're describing an album or an artist, they use this crazy language. So in this annotation, Bloodfeather is a strong rock and roll song combining a lower tuned guitar and bass with blistering blues riffs. Just made me think about publicists and their flowery language.
Well, and I feel like, yeah, no shit.
Yeah, and I don't disagree at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an accurate description, but blistering.
And
like, what's
I would not say blistering blues riffs applies to this song. I would say it applied to maybe the last one, Mom, or a few of the other ones. Like, this has got some. It's definitely the rock element, but I don't know if it's as much blues.
And when you say blistering riffs, like, who's getting blistered? The guitarist, because he's
when I
sing
hear
so
that,
much?
I picture, like, think about if you touch something that's hot and immediately just and you already have blisters.
Yeah.
Like, it just comes out at you and you just weren't expecting it. That's how I picture that.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the intent, but
Yeah, I'll accept it. I mean, it's not. I'm not the arbiter of whether
Could be.
that means, but in my mind, I am. So we should probably just walk away from this song.
yeah. So the next song, which is what I prematurely announced earlier, was "Fuck Me Up."
Woman, I can see your ring. It ain't too hard to tell that it don't mean a thing. You better be careful what you're asking for. I got a loaded gun and I've used it before. I said, hey, little mama, let me give you a ride. I need another reason to feel that inside. Don't ask me for my niggas, don't know what I'm playing. All you gotta know is I'm a dangerous man. Fuck me up good.
So Johnny Stevens says about this song that it's exactly what it sounds like.
What you see is what you get.
An unapologetic hypersexual freight train with broken brakes. Yeah.
It's not that I'm condoning adultery. It's more that I'm acknowledging its reality. You know, and that's probably like in, you know, the stuff that's going on with the Marines right now, you know, and the women that are getting like super sexually harassed. Nobody's doing anything about it.
Yeah.
You know, and like it's, yeah, you know, this type of shit happens. There are awful people in this world that do awful things to people.
Yep.
You know, and that's the thing. Like, that's like the mentality. It's just like, you know, this like slimy, gross shit.
Yeah, and you know, like I've never been one for that. One of the things that really creeps me out, and this is a common motif in rock, is calling a woman little girl or mama.
Yeah.
And in this song, he uses both. So I would guess that we're singing about different girls. But if you're calling the same girl little girl and mama, like,
Doesn't he call her little mama at one point too?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. In this verse 3, little mama and then little girl.
Yeah.
it just creeps me out. I find that off-putting. And I know, like, at least with my wife, if I say, "Hey, come here, little girl,"
Ew.
yeah,
Yeah.
big time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But an enjoyable song, and absolutely, it's a human urge. Whether or not you act on that, I think, is a mark of whether you're a decent person or not. But
Right.
we all have it, and it's a fun song. That's rock and roll. I mean, really, when
So I pictured this song like being almost like it would be a bad message for it, but like almost in a musical, like it maybe like a 60s or 50s, like, Grease kind of thing,
yeah, Liz Raven about local radio. She was all upset last week one day because I guess there's been somebody, and it was probably one person, one article somewhere, not a movement, to cancel Grease because it's such a horribly offensive film.
There's a whole college humor bit about how offensive
It really is. So I enjoyed Grease growing up too.
I
And
hate that movie.
as a kid, it went over my head, but Abington High School was doing it as a musical, so we watched it with our kid because he wanted to be in it. And watching it as an adult, I was like, "Holy shit, this is so offensive!"
Yeah.
It really is. Should it be canceled? No, but should it be done as a high school musical? No, I'd have.
We could get into a whole conversation about cancel culture and what my thoughts are on that right now, but unless anybody wants to hear that, we shouldn't go there.
No, that's a podcast for another day.
It is. That's a different podcast.
All together, yeah.
Yeah, Chris and Aaron on the record. Topher and Ronnie on the record. Anyway, this was a fun song, but we're going to shoot on over to the next track called Vanity.
Can't you figure it out? Do I have to write it down for you? I know what you're about. I'm not afraid to shut it down. Over and over and over and over, yeah. Your vanity's so cold. Your vanity's so
So, you looked earlier at their influences,
Yes, I did.
and we were talking Jimi Hendrix, Pearl Jam.
No, Jimi Hendrix, Pink Floyd, and Sublime.
So I said Pearl Jam. That was a Freudian slip because this song actually had a flavor of Pearl Jam. Reminded me very much of State of Love and Trust from the Singles soundtrack.
Yeah, no, I can hear some Pearl Jam in there. And I mean, I'm not particularly keen on Pearl Jam's catalog, so a bad reference to this, but the cover they do of Last Kiss, which I know is probably more true to form for like that song, the way that they do it, but I don't know, I kind of hear that kind of sound.
Yeah.
Which is a weird analogy. I relate so hard to somebody's vanity being so cold, because I don't know how many people I've had in my life that try to take this like moral high ground of like they're better than me and therefore they cannot hang out with me anymore. And I'm not saying they're better than me in terms of personality, or well, I guess so, but in terms of superficial things. But this just like he doesn't care about others. He like this demeaning aspect and like trying to legit cancel me and turn around and like be like, well, it's because I have this higher moral standard than you clearly do. And the reality is, and at least the way that I look at it in every single one of those scenarios, is that no, you don't. You just don't have the tolerance or the patience to help me through the things that you have trouble with me saying or doing. And I've tried to learn a lot from those scenarios and be the best person that I can be. And apparently that's not good enough. And it's really irritating.
Yeah, and that's no way. See, and I appreciate that because I love my father dearly, but he has a tendency to look down his nose at people, and that always bothered me growing up. And I have had the pleasure, and still do in my life, of knowing and being friends with a rich tapestry of people from all walks of life, all kinds of different people. And I feel I grow as a person from that. There's people that I've been friends with that are shitty people.
Yeah.
But there's redeeming qualities about them, and I feel like if I have them in my life, maybe I can try to nudge them a bit
Right.
towards something better, which, just walking away from someone because your own vanity doesn't allow it is not.
And I think a lot of times the things that get me in most trouble is me trying to work through my feelings about a specific person or situation or whatever it is in what is perceived as inappropriate ways. And what I mean by that is like if somebody does something that bothers me, I get really upset about it.
Yep.
To the point where it seems like I'm putting that person down, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to work through my own emotions through that scenario real time, and this other person is in the room being a part of it because it's somebody I think I can trust, and it turns into something a lot bigger than it needs to be. You know, I make mistakes, and so do a lot of other people. And I'm trying to work through something, maybe that's seemingly inappropriate, but I'm doing it around people that I think I can trust and care about, so that I have that safety net of they can turn around and say, hey, that's not appropriate. Let's work on that.
Yeah.
Because those are the type of people you should have in your life. And
Absolutely.
there are people that just like need to take this high ground, and I'm sick and tired of it. Like, I'm not a perfect person, and I like to surround myself with people that turn around and be like, dude, fucking stop. I'm like, okay, I will. Like, I appreciate your input and value it. And the way that I'm going off on a tangent because it's reminding me of a specific scenario, and I'm trying to keep it general, but it's like the way that certain people handle it. They think they're trying to solve the problem by just being like, stop it or don't do that. Or say it's more than that. It's more than that. If somebody's genuinely doing something that you don't like, you need to hold their hand, help them through it, help them understand. Because there are a lot of people in this world that if you were a lot nicer to and spend the time with, you are not going to get the adverse reaction that you think you're going to. This has turned into a therapy session.
Yeah. Well, and you're talking. So I think in this case, what you're finding is these people are not invested in the relationship. Looking at what Johnny Stevens had to say about this song, I think you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what this song is about. Is he is almost walking away from a friendship and realized, this friendship means enough to me to work through this.
Right.
Put my own vanity aside, chill the fuck out, and try to get back to a good place.
Well, yes and no, because I think that there's also this aspect. It's about, I'm trying to read this, right? So this song is one of my favorites. It's got more than one, blah, blah, blah. Have you ever been upset with someone and maybe a little bit harsh and then realized that maybe you overreacted more since, okay, so you're right. Because you know what? I read it the other way. Somebody else's vanity. But yeah, you're right. I think that other people need to, and I need to do this too. I totally understand that because there's also my vanity, right?
Yep.
And there's this aspect of like the stuff that I just went on a whole tangent about. It's like, okay, I need to look into myself and be like, am I making the mistake? Am I saying things that I need? It's that whole learning process. I'm a 21-year-old kid and I'm bound to fuck up.
Yeah.
That is how life works. You make mistakes and you learn from it. And it really irritates me that there are, 18, 19, 20-year-olds that think they know life better because I'm sorry, you don't know it any better than me. Okay.
Yeah.
I oh, I could keep going. I'm thinking of specific people now, and I need to tone it down. But
and well, and if you are vain, don't you think you'd feel better feeling like you improved somebody rather than just walking away from them and letting them continue to be an asshole?
Right.
If I'm not saying you're an asshole, but
I just think a lot more problems will be solved in this world if we learn to help people through problems instead of just letting them play into their awful ways or delusions and legit ruining the world and dividing us even further. But you know what? Who am I to have opinions? Apparently, because my vanity is apparently too good.
Feel better?
I do, and I'm actually really excited for the next track, Claude Land. This is the last track on the album as well. I probably should preface that. This is kind of like that mom vein sound, so you might enjoy this one as well. I mean, I don't even know if you liked Mom, to be honest with you. I didn't even ask you, but
yeah, we did. Yes, I did enjoy that.
Okay, well, so this is kind of that bluesy kind of thing. It's a great way to end an album. So let's take a listen.
I think we have just stumbled upon the most epic annotation in all of Genius.
I love that it's not only wrong, it's incorrect. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
So here's what happened. There's a line in the song. Call Claude. Don't forget about Molly. Everything seems better when she's around. And this asshat annotates wordplay on Claude and Bonnie, the infamous crime duo that were suspected to be lovers. So I'm going to let that sit with you for a moment. Claude and Bonnie, the infamous crime duo. Bonnie and Claude.
yeah,
Yeah, there's no such couple.
I love that. Wasn't there a movie with Bonnie and Claude?
Natural Born Killers with Mickey and Mallory. Yeah. It's Bonnie and Clyde, motherfucker. So
well, and this, we talked about this off mic, but it turns into this whole.
Oh, it goes down
the
a rabbit hole.
guy digs his heels in, not only, and this person's like, hey, it's probably MDMA, Molly,
Yeah,
no shit.
known as Molly.
And somebody's like, oh, it's Bonnie and Clyde, not Bonnie and Claude, and I really doubt that has anything to do with it. And
of course, my witty reply, missing the point to be precise.
And this guy is just like, I always thought Claude was Charles and Molly was Mandy. Now I'm thinking, wouldn't it be nice if it were just two fucking people you knew and all this was bullshit? Yeah, whatever. I'm very confused by the words here.
Yeah, that's a confusing. I'm going to give that one an upvote just because
It's got one downvote already. You're just going to even it out.
it did. Actually, it went to 0 when I upvoted it.
Good for you.
So then the original poster comes back, and this is where I'm going to dig my heels in. He writes, "Oh, my bad, Pip. I didn't realize this was bash on other people's interpretation of music, which is, in fact, meant to be open to interpretation due to the fact of it being an art form and all. But yeah, whatever."
Okay, so when music is a way that you interpret it, like absolutely, I agree that you should be able to interpret music any way you like, but
An annotation is not an interpretation.
I think, like last song, for example, right? I spun the song around, and instead of looking at the vanity of myself, I looked at it the vanity of others. That's an interpretation, a different interpretation. This is just changing it completely and not being right, which is not an interpretation.
No, and while all art is open to interpretation, the intent of an annotation is not interpretation. It's supposed to explain and expound upon the point.
Yeah.
Like you annotate something to explain it.
Yeah, can somebody put rules on this website that say your job is to explain the artist's point of view on the song?
Yeah.
Because I don't go on Genius to go and understand what your opinion is of the song. I really don't. I want to know what the intent was from the artist.
Yes. So, the actual dictionary definition of annotation. An annotation is extra information associated with a particular point in a document or other piece of information. It can be a note that includes a comment or explanation, not interpretation. So,
Yes.
Go fuck yourself. Now, for the record, on our episodes, we tend to try to stay away from dropping the F-bombs, and when we do, there's usually maybe one, but this is a fuck all episode tonight.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of fuckery going on.
Do me a favor. Can you cut and paste that and put that in the thing?
Yes.
Just in maybe caps interpretation. Speaking of interpretation, we have a song in front of us that we listened to. One line that I really enjoyed, and I think a little bit the annotation might be missing the point on it a little bit. And if it is, I'm still going to say this anyway. The line, this band's not good, but they don't suck, and these chicks are dancing like hell. Because I don't know how many shows I've been to where the bands that, like, especially when I played in a band, like, they weren't great, but you just kind of vibe because everybody else is, you know? And yeah, they're not good, but they don't suck, you know? That was my band. We weren't good, but we didn't suck. So.
All right.
Pardon me when you're typing.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was adding that. So I added a comment that explaining what an annotation is and ending it with annotations are not interpretation. That's something else entirely.
Did you hear anything I just said?
Yes, I did. Yeah. So
I didn't want to pull you away from your...
I had work to do, man. Yeah, your band didn't suck, but it was the fun to listen to. So it didn't matter if they sucked or not.
I love watching you try and sum that back up.
I got the gist of it, if you will. Yeah.
Oh, man.
The band's not good, but they don't suck, and these chicks are dancing like hell. I get that. I've seen a lot of opening acts that are like that. Like an opening act, that's all their job is to hype people up.
Yeah.
First concert I ever went to, Europe, opened up for Def Leppard, and they legit,
Oh.
an opening band usually has half an hour. 20 minutes of their set was the final countdown.
They have no other song.
It was like Spinal Tap. I'm like, oh my God, seriously, guys.
What's it with naming bands after countries? Europe, Asia.
America.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah,
Stop doing that.
I concur.
I almost said Africa, but that's the Toto song. There probably is a band called
Yeah,
Africa.
I almost said Toto, and I'm like, that's not a country, but that's a dog.
So overall, I've always enjoyed this album. I think since I heard Lydia played by Playing with Fire, which is a band we were going to have on the show, but then they said no, so no.
The heck with them.
Yeah, but they did a really good cover of it. It's actually on their Instagram page. I should pull that up at some point. They did a great job, and I kind of fell in love with this album. Now they do have two other albums. I think My Name Is Human and MCID. I'm not necessarily a fan of the other two. My Name Is Human's not a bad song, but they kind of went a little more mainstream than I tend to prefer.
Yeah, it was a fun album. I enjoyed listening to this, and I can see where it fits in with this journey of Royal Blood and Dead Poet Society, and there was another band we listened
Cleopatrick.
to. Cleopatrick, yeah.
Yeah, and so Cleopatrick was really the reason why we listened to this in the first place, because I mentioned in the interview, take Royal Blood and take Cleopatrick and make them have a baby. Nope, Royal Blood and Highly Suspect make them have a baby, and it's Cleopatrick.
Yeah.
So, because they, Luke from Cleopatrick has got the vocals. He's got that aspect of it. Mm-hmm. And the instrumentation is like Royal Blood if they were to go through these guys' amps and equipment. They kind of marry each other, and they do a good job pulling it all together. So, high five to Luke and Ian from Cleopatrick again.
What a beautiful tapestry of metaphors.
Wow. What a tapestry of a metaphor that was.
Right? We just don't stop.
So we made a lot of good radio tonight, I guess.
Well, this was fun, and this is kind of what Esoteric is about. I mean, when you break it down, this is why I always say we discuss albums, we don't review them, because we're not critics.
No.
And it's more about our interpretations and how some music hits us.
Right.
If you're going to be listening to us, I would hope that you want to hear our thoughts. So tonight was a lot of our thoughts.
Yeah, more
good.
towards the end of the episode.
Yeah, I totally enjoy. I think I enjoyed this more than most of our episodes. Seriously, this was just fun.
Yeah.
I had fun with Aaron.
Sorry to hear that. We won't do this again then. Well, it's kind of sad to say we're coming to a close for tonight, but what's on deck other than an upper decker?
So we have a couple of
Just that's it.
we have a couple of firsts happening next week. It's going to be an interesting show. So let me preface by saying, when you look at the definition of esoteric, one of the definitions of esoteric is something that is exclusive to a small group, or you need to. I'm slaughtering the definition, but not necessarily something obscure, but not mainstream. You need to be part of a clique to understand. So we're going to be listening to an album, and the album is yet to be determined, I found out tonight. But we're going to be checking out BTS, the South Korean K-pop sensation.
Sensation.
Now, you might be asking,
I am.
what the hell? Like, there's nothing less esoteric than...
I saw a BTS poster on the train going to school one day.
And they were in Samsung commercials. We've all
Yeah.
heard Dynamite. It's getting radio play. So here's the thing. BTS is a worldwide phenomenon. They're a huge thing. But they really don't get a lot of radio play in America because they don't sing in English. Except for their song Dynamite, which is in English. They sing in Korean. So it's sort of, while hugely popular, also exclusive. So we are in, and this is our other first. We're inviting a super fan into the studio to explain the songs to us and probably react to our stupid discussions on it. Usually, when we interview somebody, it's somebody from the band, and we usually do that interview separately, talking to them about the album, and then we play the songs and share our thoughts.
Yeah.
So this is going to be something totally different, where we have a super fan in the studio, and they will be in the studio with us to discuss.
Yeah, this is the first time we will have a third person join us.
So we still get some logistics to work out on that too, but it'll be fun and it'll be interesting, and
Not a lot of logistics. It'll be easy.
see, this is
I've already figured it out. I actually just sitting here right now. I figured it out.
nice. So that's solved. So that's what's on deck for next week.
Yay. You know, the point of the show is to sway my opinion, and I am looking forward to that.
And this is one where I'm looking to have my opinion swayed too, because
Yeah.
I'm exposed to it because it's in the house, but I haven't sat down with BTS and listened to an album. So
Imagine if you sat down with the band. Wow. So this whole segment's been about 15 minutes.
wow,
Craziness. Or actually, only 10. My math is wrong.
haven't I told you a million times not to exaggerate?
So thank you for taking your time to listen to Esoterica, the podcast, this fine day. Chris likes to call it nighttime because it is nighttime currently, but you are probably not listening to this at night, or you could be. I like to leave it open.
I exist in the ether.
All right.
So while you're waiting for our next episode, make sure you stop by esotericafthepodcast.com. Check out all the shit we get going on, and pick yourself up a bloody t-shirt.
Or at the very least, we would really appreciate it if you just shared the podcast. If you like this episode or any other one that we do, just post it on Facebook for us. Give us a little tag. You know, we'd really appreciate it. Just anything to get the message of Esoterica out there.
Hell yeah.
Well, I think we bored you enough for about 45 minutes. So until next week.
Stay esoteric.